All right, well, greetings, everyone. My name is Matthew Gargano, and this is Career Development E242 Fall 2018 Term 2 Semester, Section 7. If you see me looking over here, I've got another screen that I referred to. So anyway, I just finished up setting up your course, which you all will hopefully log into on Wednesday, November 7th. I am very, very excited about teaching career development. Where am I? Sorry, I lost my thought for a second. I'm so excited I lost my thought. Anyway, a couple things before I get started about a little bit more about me and about the course and about some other things. Let's handle some logistics. You've got to this video, hopefully, because you started in the course by reading my Welcome to Career Development announcement. I included a little bit more information about me, a little bit of extra information about rubrics, and then I gave you a series of 3 links to click on. It's really, really important that you follow and you watch those 3 videos. The first one, which is this one, is establishing a firm foundation. The second one is course navigation. And the third one is rubrics. And let me tell you why. This is the establishing a firm foundation. So, I love storytelling. In fact, we're going to talk about the importance of storytelling as we get more into the course of career development. But let's talk about something. Let's look at a house, for example. There's very few reasons where a house would outright get condemned. A house can be without electricity. That's not necessarily going to cause the city to come out and condemn the house. A house could be without plumbing, and that still wouldn't necessarily cause the city to come out. I'm going somewhere with this. Wouldn't necessarily cause the city to come out and condemn the house. The house can be with a leaky roof, and that still would not necessarily cause the city to come out and just automatically condemn the house. But the one thing that will for sure, guess what it is? To yourself. Obviously, I know we can't have a synchronous conversation. The foundation. If the foundation in the house or under the house is cracked or compromised in any way, it's an automatic, the house will be condemned. Why is that? Because the foundation has to be solid in order for everything that's built off of the foundation to be able to stand in place and to be able to not be compromised and to be able to function on this foundation of stability. So the reason why I entitled this first video Establishing a Firm Foundation is because this series of the 3 series of videos, Establishing a Firm Foundation, Course Navigation, and Rubrics, as well as the other things I'm going to talk about in here, is to help build a foundation to establish you on so that you can have a successful course experience. You don't want to start off on a shaky foundation, because if you start off on a shaky foundation, you're a little leaning this way, you're a little leaning this way, you're a little shaky, this isn't right. You're not going to have a very smooth and stable and successful course experience. So take the time to watch these 3 videos because it's important. It's an important investment in yourself and in your course and in your future. So these 3 videos is to help you establish a firm foundation. Also, make sure that I'm looking along the side, make sure that you go to the syllabus, very important. Your syllabus, which is one of your first links over to the left-hand side, your syllabus is like your roadmap. Take the time to review the syllabus, and however you review it best, whether it be I'm old school, print it out. I like to print it out. I like to mark it up, highlight, whatever. But whatever is going to help you be most effective, whether it's saving it, reviewing it online, printing it out, go through the syllabus. It's the roadmap from the course, beginning to end. Another very important feature is the getting started. The getting started is a detailed view of that roadmap. So think about the syllabus as sort of the aerial view of the roadmap, so you have an idea of where you're going, how you need to get there. Whereas the getting started is the detailed roadmap. That tells you specifically what all is involved in each module and approximately how long each module should take you. So you know from beginning to end, from soup to nuts, from A to Z, how long and how much time you need to be spending in each of the modules and what it entails. Very important. You also want to make sure that you look at the course calendar. Very, very important. I spend a lot of time, I almost went into preaching mode. A lot of time, family. I'm also a pastor and a life coach and an author. But anyway, I spend a lot of time, everyone, setting up this course to make sure that you have a really, really thorough and comprehensive course experience, and you've got all the information available to you in your fingertips. So that being said, go to the course calendar. As again, I spend a lot of time, there we are, course tools. I spend a lot of time setting that up. Now, very important. This course starts Wednesday, November 7th. So when you go to the course calendar, you see I've got that flagged as course starts welcome. Again, make sure you read view the welcome announcement, read it again if you need to, watch the 3 videos, review the syllabus. Very important. Now, normally your module initial discussion posts are due on Tuesdays, okay? The only exception for that is your first one, your module 1. Obviously, the course starts on Wednesday, so Tuesday already passed, right? So with the exception of your module 1 discussion post, which are both your initial post and your reply are due this coming Saturday, every other module discussion post, initial discussion post, will be due by Tuesday, and then your reply or your response is due by that Saturday. Very, very important. This Saturday, both your initial and your response to Module 1 discussion post will be due. Moving forward, initial post due by Tuesday, response due by Saturday. That's the way it's going to flow. Make sure in your discussion post you post, read what it's expecting you, and I cover more of this in the grading and rubrics, but read what's expected to you. If you give a half answer, your grade is going to reflect that. Read what's required of you in the discussion post. When you post your initial post, respond to the elements of the post. What's it asking you to do? Make sure you've got that covered. Make sure you respond to at least one classmate by Saturday in a meaningful and effective way. Just don't be like, yeah, that sounds great, or I agree. That's not constructive feedback. That's not adding value. Respond in a constructive way. I really like when you said because, or that's a great point that you made because of the following reasons, or I agree and here's why, or have you considered, right? Keep it positive, but keep it constructive. Your whole grade, and again, I cover this in the rubrics, but your whole discussion post grade is based on how well your initial post is and how well you respond. Makes a complete grade. Anyway, that being said, as I stated, with the exception of the Module 1 discussion, initial discussion post due by Tuesday, responses due by Saturday. Live classrooms. Now, here's what I'm saying about live classrooms. I do a series of live classrooms, okay? Your first one, they'll be on Mondays at 9:15 a.m., with the first one being on the 12th, the following one being on the 19th, the following one being on the 26th. These are also listed on your calendar. You will need to view the live classroom lectures in order to answer and complete the live classroom assignment modules for each week. The only exception to this is your Module 1 live classroom assignment. And here's why. All of your assignments, all of your written assignments, okay, obviously other than your discussion post, your initial discussion posts are due on Tuesday with the exception of Module 1. Your responses are due on Saturdays. Other than your discussion post, all your other module written assignments, which include your live classroom and whatever assignment or assignments are due that week, and those are listed in your assignment folder, are due Sunday by 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. That being said, we will not have a live classroom lecture before your first Module 1 assignment is due. To that end, this will be the only live classroom assignment that you will have, that you will submit without needing to view a lecture. So for your first module, for your Module 1 live classroom assignment, what I want you to do is I want you to tell me the 3 questions or topics or areas that you would like me to cover further in the one of the first 3 live classroom lectures. Okay, so related to career development, it could be questions about what questions to ask during interviews, what questions are appropriate, what are inappropriate, how should I dress, how do I overcome nervousness. I'm just going based off the past. How do I prepare? How do I prepare for a phone interview versus a video interview versus an in-person interview? What are the types of things I should put on my cover letter? How should I dress? Those are all great questions that are related to career development. Other questions could be like, I've been out of the workforce for a long time. How do I explain that? I'm entering the workforce later in life. I'm doing a career change. I'm going back to school. I've been unemployed. I've been terminated. I've been whatever, fired, this and that and the other. These are all great questions. So ask your questions. So for your Module 1 live classroom assignment, which is due this Sunday by 11:59 Central Standard Time, along with your first Module 1 written assignment, I want you to tell me what are your top 3 questions or suggested topics or areas that you want me to cover in one of the upcoming live classroom assignments. Okay, very simple. Here's the other thing. I don't attach names to it, so I'm not like, well, John Carter wrote in this question. That's a great question, John. I don't bust people out like that. So if you do have sort of sensitive questions, what about health issues, things like nature that prevented you or took you out of the job force? If you do have sensitive questions, I don't attach names to it. I organize the questions, and I've got actually a really comprehensive list of great questions that students have asked over the years that I kind of use as a boilerplate. So ask your questions. I don't attach names, so feel safe to ask your questions. I want you to leverage the time for these live classrooms as the time that I will spend more time on the specific questions and topics and areas as they relate to career development during those live classroom lectures, okay? So that is your assignment for your Module 1 live classroom assignment. Now, moving forward with your Module 2, your Module 3, your Module 4, your Module 5, your Module 6, it's always going to be the same. What I want you to do is, after watching that week's live classroom lecture, in your assignment, I'm always going to ask you the same thing each week. I want you to list your top 3 takeaways and how you will incorporate those into your professional life. So what is a takeaway? I'm glad you asked the question. A takeaway is either practical knowledge or a mindset shift that you learned during one of the lectures that you will now take away with you and carry with you into your career development or professional life. So how will you incorporate it? One takeaway, you can be like, wow, you know what? My takeaway is I never really thought about the interview process in this kind of way. That's new for me. So I'm going to take away that mindset And here's how I'm going to incorporate it. I'm going to incorporate it with, that's the attitude I'm going to go into during my next interview. Or, wow, I never really understood how important a proper handshake is. Now that I learned that, that's one of my takeaways, and I'm going to incorporate that. I'm going to use that handshake moving forward, not just in interviews, but whenever I meet somebody at a networking event or wherever. So those are some examples, but I need you guys to do the two parts. List each takeaway, and is a logical connector, meaning both conditions need to be present and true, and tell me how you're going to incorporate it into your career development life. Now, I'm trying something new this term that I haven't done before, where I'm going to add supplemental live classroom lectures. That being said, for your each module live classroom assignment, I'm looking at the clock because I'm trying to be mindful of time here because you've got 2 more videos to watch. Well worth your time and investment in yourself. You are worth it. What I'm going to do, which I haven't done before, is I'm going to do additional supplemental live classroom lectures. That being said, you will have the option to choose whichever lectures I post for that particular week to determine which lecture you're going to write your takeaways off of. So the Monday lectures, at least the first 2, possibly the 3, will be the Q&A. You can certainly pick the Monday Q&A and say, these are my top 3 takeaways in terms of what I learned and what I'm taking away and how I'll incorporate it with the question and answer. Or you can choose a supplemental live classroom lecture from that week and say, you know what? In this supplemental live classroom lecture, here's my takeaways, okay? So the option is I leave it completely up to you. Here's the other thing. We will have a series of 3 live classroom lectures Mondays at 9:15 a.m. That being said, you don't have to attend them in real time. I realize the reason why most students take online courses is because you have schedules, and the online course gives you the flexibility where you don't have to be in a specific class at a specific time. Get that totally. So you don't have to attend these live classroom lectures in real time. What I do is I post the link. So you will always have at least 1, if not 2 or 3 live classroom recording links for that week to be able to choose from. All I ask is that when you submit your each module assignment, you just reference it. In the live classroom dated such and such, Monday's Q&A, or in the supplemental one that's dated, or whatever, let me know what your takeaways are. And like I said, I post those in the live classroom lecture box at the bottom. You'll see where you've got your announcements, and then you've got live classroom sessions. I post those links there as well as sending out in the announcements. So this is something new I'm trying, but you have that option as well. What else do I want to talk about right quick? The course ends on December 14th. Again, I have all of that spelled out. So that is one of the other exceptions where your module, you will not obviously have until that Sunday to submit your module 6 assignment because the course ends Friday the 14th. So all of your module 6 work must be submitted by Friday evening, December 14th by 11:59 Central Standard Time. Course ends, all final work must be in, and that's it. I can't give any extensions past the 14th. It's a hard deadline. So again, make sure you go through the course calendar as well as the other tools that I talked to you about, your syllabus, your getting started, etc. So that's pretty much it for right now. So you have your instructions. I just want to talk a little bit about career development and what it is, because a lot of people have a misconception of what career development is. They think it's just a resume, how to write a resume, right? Well, career development is so much more than how to write a resume. I've been teaching for probably 16 years. And I teach business courses and I teach career development. And one of my favorite courses to teach is career development. The reason why, as an employer, I also am a small business owner, as an employer, but also as a life coach, as a professional as well. I'm excited about career development the most because it's in my opinion, what I have found, career development is one of the most misunderstood courses and disciplines. It's also one of the most underappreciated, undervalued, and underutilized. And once you fully understand what career development is about and how to leverage it, it's really going to propel you by leaps and bounds among a lot of other professional individuals in your career development world. Let me just give you an example. As an employer, the average, guess how long, and I realize you can't talk back to me right now, guess how long it takes the average employer to review your resume. So when I've got your resume in front of you, so I've got your resume, right? And I've got your resume and probably another 500 resumes that, 500 people applied for the same position. Guess how long it takes me to review your resume to determine whether I'm going to put it over here in the not to be further considered, or I'm going to put it over here in the to be further considered. Take a guess. 10 seconds. So think about this. I just picked up your resume. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Boom. I just determined, I made the decision whether I'm going to put it over here and say not going to further consider, or I'm going to move you along over here in the next pile and say I will further consider. Then I take the to be further considered, and guess what? I do the same thing again. Am I going to put this now in the not further considered, or am I going to move you along? So your goal is to make it all the way to the final pile where you actually get a phone call for an interview, okay? Your resume is a two-dimensional piece of paper that really has to capture your essence as a multi-dimensional living human being and be your ticket to get your foot in the door for an actual interview. That's as much as an art as it is a science. But again, as important as the resume is, it's a tiny little dot in terms of career development. We're going to talk about this. Career development is creating your professional identity. It's all about creating or recreating your professional identity and then maintaining it and leveraging it and then operating in it fully. That's what career development is. But don't misunderstand. Just because I said resume is a tiny dot, it's a very important dot. Because just because something's tiny, don't equate that to not as important. That little tiny dot of your resume obviously is going to determine how successful you are in getting in the door and developing that experience. But I say this to say, I want you to broaden your minds in terms of not only the importance of a resume, but really what career development is all about. And we're going to talk about that later on as we go throughout the course. So that being said, one other thing that I don't believe I mentioned in the rubrics and gradings, I technically have until the Friday following when the assignments are due to grade. So in other words, your written assignments are due on, for the most part, except for the last day of class, which is Friday, your written assignments are due on Sunday. So your first set of written assignments are due on the 4th. I technically have until Friday the 9th to grade and get your feedback back to you. I say that to say a lot of students I know submit well before the deadline. Know that I try to get your assignments graded and turned back around to you well before that following Friday, but know that I have until that Friday of each week. But again, I try to get them turned around as quickly as possible. So that's one point. The other point is, in the contact block, I do have my cell phone, but I did say the instructions, okay? Let's take a step back. Most questions can be answered via email. I've been doing this, like I said, for 16 years, and I would say in the 16 years I've been teaching, there might have been 1 or 2 questions that required a follow-up more than just an email. 99.99999, put a line over it, percent of your questions can be answered via email. And that's really the quickest and most efficient way that we can communicate. So I would encourage you, if you have a question, shoot me an email. Now, what I am going to do is, you have a question about an assignment, I'm going to push back a little bit and say, show me specifically where in the assignment or the rubric, because I spend a lot of times on rubrics and I talk about this in the rubric session. Just don't say, I don't understand this assignment. That doesn't tell me anything. I need you to tell me specifically what you read and what your interpretation is and how you need better understanding, so I can address your question in an efficient, effective, meaningful way. That being said, try email. If I feel like after we've responded 1 or 2 times, you know what, this really warrants a phone call, then we'll have that. But my best thing is, rather than picking up the phone right away, do the email. It's really the best way that you're going to get the quickest response and most efficient response. The other thing is text, but as I stated in the my little cell phone thing, it is my cell phone. So if it is a text message, be brief. Otherwise, use the email. If it's a quick, brief, are you catching me? Brief text, you can shoot it. Otherwise, do an email. Identify who you are and what course you're in. Reason being, again, I have a business. I have pastoral responsibilities, life coach responsibilities, teaching responsibilities. That being said, if I don't know who you are, I'm not going to respond to the text message, because I want to be able to, 1, know who I'm talking to, and B, to effectively serve those that I have the privilege of serving. So my students, my customers, my constituents, my colleagues, my friends, I want to make sure all you guys get put up there on the VIP list. That being said, in order for me to do that, I need to know who you are and where I know you from, so I can respond in a way that gets you what you need. I also put up there, I am unavailable via all communication from Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. That is my 1 day of rest. And I strongly recommend everybody have a day of rest, but that's a whole different time management thing. We'll talk about that later. So if you have questions, plan accordingly. Know that from Friday sundown to Saturday sundown, I am offline, unavailable, drop the mic. So anyway, I look forward to working with you guys, and I really, really, really am believing that this course experience is above and beyond what you thought it could be, and that you just learn lots, and you step into the best version of yourself in amazing and new ways. So again, make sure that you watch the other videos, and I look forward to working with you all, each and every one of you, throughout the course. All right. Have a good day, evening, whatever it is, morning, afternoon, evening. Have a good one, y'all.